yogis, welcome. I'm Christian, the Chief Operating Officer for the project, and we're going to do a 60-minute vinyasa, power vinyasa practice. So I teach a stronger flow than your average bear, so to speak. And we still incorporate our tools, our 5 tools that constitute a really well-rounded veterans yoga project practice. The only thing I'll really say is one of the reasons that I find teaching a stronger practice to be my jam. It's just I'm always reminded that whatever problems we have in the mind cannot be solved by the mind itself. And so, in order to get into the physical body in a stronger way, well, I just know that if something's bothering me and I go and move a bunch of weight and I start picking things up and putting it down, something begins to change. A problem that you're really stuck on, just go and move. And suddenly this thing happens. And that thing is yoga, the way I see it, where the conversation between the mind and the body, this little thing, that we start to actuate, the body and the mind starts to really mingle, and you start to move energy around. And I love to sweat. As a matter of fact, I'm in the basement of my home here in Salt Lake City, and I turn the heat on because it's cold down here. My poor wife, who's up on the 3rd floor right now, is blazing hot up there. She's up there like saying, "What the heck is going on?" So that is all I wanted to say, and it was in terms of the physical practice. And then always, you're invited to drop in a child's pose anytime you lose focus on the breath, you want to slow things down. That is always an option. And generally, I leave it to the practitioner. The practitioner is in charge of their own practice. Teacher never should go to a person into a position it's not suitable for. So just know that is your responsibility being in a yoga practice. So unless there's any questions, we are here to try to drive money into the organization. That is our goal for being here in terms of Veterans Yoga Project, and that's outside of the physical practice. So whoever shout from the rooftops about the good works that we do at Veterans Yoga Project, and then they'll tell their friends, and then their friends will tell their friends, and then next thing you know, we're 7 degrees to Kevin Bacon, and we have a lot of moolah in order to get more practicing yogis to more veterans. And so with that, I invite everybody to drop into child's pose on your mat in whatever child's pose, either knees wide, knees close, so embryo or wide-legged child's pose. And then the yogis, as we know, really had something ahead of their time, many things, but one of them was Ujjayi breathing. So breathing through the nose and out the nose, in the nose, out the nose. And its primary purpose is for autonomic nervous system, finding the window of tolerance. So not hyper, not hypo, that just so. But also the nose is a excellent filtration for the air, meaning you could actually breathe in some kind of bug through the nose and the nose will filter it out, with the mouth not such a great filter. So there's another incentive for you to breathe Ujjayi style. Eyes can be closed at this point, this juncture of the practice, or you can keep the soft eye gaze by opening up the lids a little bit. And I would encourage you to find complete stillness and total relaxation. Just getting a sense of the turning of the mind, a sense of the activity of the mind. And after you understand a baseline of mind activity, refocus on the breath in order to slow down the number of thoughts And if you find yourself attaching to a specific thought or becoming entangled with that thought, please detach from the thought and bring the mind's focus right back to the breathing. If at this juncture in child's pose, you start to feel tension increasing, maybe a little pain sensation developing, a couple of things, options are to adjust the position or remain focused on your breathing and see if the body will dissipate the tension by not becoming attached to the tension. Please begin to stretch your hands further out in front of you. So I assume that most of you have your palms on the floor and your fingers are stretching in a spokes on a wheel, a fan kind of shape. Now I'd invite you to push your finger pads into the floor and raise your arm bones off the mat. So now your fingers are shaped like you're playing a piano. And as the arm bones lift up off the floor, the biceps are alongside your eardrums, and you keep reaching your hips back and the fingers forward. And now we've activated a little bit. Begin to pull the belly into the spine slightly, a little tug, a little bandha action. And now take a deep breath in. And on exhale, drop everything back down to the floor. Walk your hands off the mat to the left side. So we're taking a side body stretch. So walk the hands off the mat onto the floor. And maybe if you have range of motion, place the right hand onto the back of the left. Try to square the shoulders and keep your right butt cheek sealed onto the right heel. And bring your mind's awareness and start to notice the opening of the intercostal muscles on the right side of the rib cage and the compression of the organs on the left side of the rib cage. Let's reverse engineer. So walk the hands back through the center. Take a moment to stretch the arms back out in front of you again, and then walk it over to the right side, to the starboard side. For all you sailors out there, option to take the left hand, place it on the back of the right. Notice the difference in stretchiness on each side. One side is usually a little more tough than the other side. Walk the hands back to the center. Now from here, we're going to move into something called scorpion up dog. So let's come off of the heels, and you make chaturanga arms, big toes to touch. And then your toes are coming towards the back of the head. As you press the hands into the floor, you're in an up dog position, but it's a scorpion up dog. Pull the toes towards the back of the head, keep pushing the floor away, draw the shoulder heads back, look up a little bit, and now press back to child's pose. Relax. Two more. Scorpion up dog. We press forward, lift up, look up, press the floor away. Child's pose. Let's press it back. Third time is a charm. Scorpion up dog. You drag the belly button forward, toes towards the back of the head, arch the spine, look up. And now from here, we're going to come back to child's pose. Curling the toes underneath for downward facing dog. Lift the hips up and begin to pedal your feet back and forth. Move it around. Move your hips around. Feel free to send a leg up. It's an option. You don't have to, but everybody has their own way of opening up in their first D dog. Whatever your methodology is for letting the hips open up, totally up to you. Gorgeous. Okay, let's come back to that regular still facing downward dog. Just a couple little alignment. And remember, alignment is not a religion. Alignment is kind of a round figure. People get really wrapped around the axle with the alignment. There are some things that are really helpful, but it's more efficient versus inefficient type of thing. But I like to make sure that the wrist bones are directly in line with the shoulder heads. So not too far apart, but right in line with the wrist bones and shoulder heads. And then think about the actual skeletal system, the heel bone in line with your actual two butt bones. So people, a lot of teachers will say, oh, feet hip width apart. Well, you know, some people have skinny hips, right? And then they're too close. So some people's hips are wider. So I like to think about the skeletal system in terms of that. Okay, let's walk forward for Ragdoll Pose. Top of your mat. Again, think of the skeletal system and the heel bones and the two butt bones. They're underneath each other or over one another, depending on which one. Take your elbows, drop the head, skull towards the floor. You're in a forward bend. Blood is rushing towards the crown chakra, top of the skull. Feel free to swish or sway, that side to side motion. It's a Raggedy Ann doll motion, so you're letting go with the knees bent, so you get some release in the glutes, get some release in the hips, but especially the low back. I find it very fun myself. In life, when in doubt, ragdoll it out. If you're ever in a domestic squabble or any kind of squabble, or you see somebody in a domestic squabble, if you put everybody in ragdoll pose, that squabble will stop because it's hard to be upset in ragdoll pose. Okay, we're gonna slowly bring our feet together, toe heel them together, and we're gonna round up to mountain pose. Piece by piece, bone by bone, we stack. I'd like you to send the arms above the head. I call this extended mountain pose. So Tadasana, mountain, extend up. We want to float the 10 toes up off the mat. So we ground down through all four corners. And we're just reaching up, extending up. Pull the belly to the spine. Big breath in. On an exhale, cactus the arms and draw into a gentle back bend. Keep the elbows at the shoulder head height instead of dragging them down. Just elbows, shoulder head height, and then pull the shoulder heads back. And we'll come back to extended mountain pose. Reach the arms up, big fat breath in. Forward fold, either hands to heart center or a swan dive if you're a swan diver. Keep the knees bent and soft. We'll take our hands to the floor and now to the shins, halfway lift and lengthen. Big breath in. Exhale, forward fold, chin to the chest. And we'll step back to a plank pose. Take the feet back. Shoulders over wrists. Belly to spine. Take a full breath in. We're going to lower all the way down to the floor. We lay down, setting up for Bhujangasana or otherwise Cobra Pose. Big feet, big toes, small feet, small toes, bring them together. And then on the inhale, lift and heart up, lift up. So you're actuating the low back, using strength in the low back. Easy does it in the hands. Breathe in. And on the exhale, we'll bring the chin to the mat. Push back to child's pose. Prefer to bring the knees mat width distance if you can. Really let the low back relax, the low hips, the upper hips, the middle hips, really get some release. Remember, our yoga practice is all about tension and release, tension and release, tension and release. This is how we move prana. Okay, we're going to come to our all fours. We call this tabletop pose. Again, take time to get the knees over on the hips, stacked, hands, shoulders, and we'll cat-cow tilt. Take a look up to the sky. We'll breathe in for cow facing pose. On the exhale, push the floor away. Bring the chin to the chest. Really squeeze the bum underneath, tuck the chin. Inhale, change. Breathe in. Exhale, round and dome the spine. Push into the tops of the feet. Push the floor away. Keep everything stacked. And change, cow face. Belly down, butt up, chin lifts. Breathe in. Exhale, round and dome. Let's do one more set. Take a breath in for cow facing. And on the exhale, you're gonna round and dome the spine and then lift yourself up, back down, face dog. Hips backing up. Take a moment here to pedal it out, move it around, bend the knees, shake your head, yes and no, limber, and loose. Okay, come back to the center. And I'm going to give you a 5 count, and then we're going to step to the top of the mat. Take a nice deep inhale. Empty out. I'm going to give you a 3 count. Nice deep inhale. Empty out. I'm going to give you a 1 count. Deep inhale. Empty out. Step forward, top of the mat. Feet together, touch them. Halfway lift and lengthen, grow it up halfway, belly to spine, chin forward, looking over the edge. Exhale, forward fold, chin to the chest, knees soft. Inhale to mountain pose, send the arms above the head, reach up. Exhale, cactus the arms, take a little bit of a back bend. Inhale, extend the arms back up skyward, breath in. Exhale, fold in. Now, when your hands touch the floor, I want you to take that halfway lift and lengthen. And now lunge your left foot to the back of the mat. Left knee sets down, modified low lunge. Take your arms up. The left knee is down, arms are lifting. Right knee stacks, chest blooms up, belly to spine to release some of the tension in the low back. Take a full breath in. On the exhale, set the hands down. We're going to shift back to half splits. Intensify by pulling the toes towards the face, or ease up by pointing the toes away from the face. Just a little hammy stretch here. Rebend into the right leg. Curl the left toes underneath your runner's lunge. And now step to the top of the mat. Left foot meets the right, halfway lift and lengthen, top of the mat. Breathe in. Bow in, yogis, forward fold. Rise up, mountain pose. Big breath comes in. Exhale, cactus, draw it into a little bit of a back bend. Re-extend the arms for the breath in, extended mountain. Forward fold, hands through heart center, a swan dive. Now when the hands touch, we halfway lift up. Exhale, right knee, right foot back, set the right knee down. Modified lunge, raise the arms. Feel the left hip hugging back, the right hip going down and forward. Front of the right hip gets that psoas stretch. Should feel juicy and good. Please fill your lungs with air. Intake. Exhale, hands to the mat. Shift your hips back. Half splits, half Hanuman. Again, intensify by flexing the left baby toe back. Feel it in that low back. Now, if you're rounding the spine, I would encourage you to lift your chin to flatten the spine. Shift a little lip to the left side so your central axis is aligning over the left leg. We're going to release here in 2, and we're going to release in 1. Let's shift forward, runner's lunge. You're going to curl your right toes, lift the right knee. Step forward, right to left, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale, fold. Mountain pose, rise. Exhale, cactus, back bend. Inhale, rise. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. Step back, high plank. Lower halfway down for a chaturanga push-up. Inhale to upward facing dog or cobra. And we'll move to downward facing dog, and you'll empty your lungs. 3 breaths, your back and down face, dog pose. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. 1 more ujjayi in. Out the nose. On the inhale, right leg sky. So 3-legged dog. Try to keep the right hip level at first. You know, the easy path is to split the hip, so opening up, but try to keep it nice and level. Feel the hamstring stretch in the left leg. Take 1 more deep inhale, lift the right leg up a little more, and then exhale, right foot to the right thumb, step forward. Runner's lunge to crescent lunge. Arms lift. So remember, you're on 2 separate railroad tracks. Ideally, the left heel is facing straight up towards the sky, squaring off, shoulders and hips. Take a full breath in. On the exhale, sit the hands down, shift your hips back. You're now in a deeper split. So it's a long, it's almost like a beautiful pyramid. So it's not the short type. Rebend back into the right leg. Keep your left hand down. and send your right arm up. I call this easy twist. So you're in a low lunge with the right arm lifting, turning your shoulders to face to the right side. Don't forget about the back leg. Really firm up on the back leg. Take a full breath in. On the exhale, set the right hand down on the outside of the right foot. Come into standing split. You're going to take your left leg off the floor and you're balancing on your right leg. Easy breezy. Just finding that proprioception here. Feel free to take the hands off the mat, up to you. Take one more big breath in. On the exhale, bring the left foot to meet the right. So you're at the top of the mat in a nice forward fold. Breath out. Inhale, rise to mountain. Breathe in. Exhale, forward fold. No more cactus arm back bend, at least for now. When the hands touch, we take a halfway up. Step back high to low plank. Inhale, lifts you to upward dog. And we'll come to down dog. Right away, we'll take the left leg off the mat. Three-legged dog, stretching the right hamstring. Keep pushing the floor away. Take one more breath in, lift the left heel up a little higher, and then step the left foot to the left thumb. Runner's lunge. We're going to take a crescent lunge, arms up to the sky. Left foot is forward, right foot is back. You should, in your peripheral, just be able to sense the arm bones alongside the eardrums, reaching up. Take a big breath in. You want to reach up, breathe in. On the exhale, set the hands down to the floor. We're going to shift back for the old pyramid, folding over the left leg. Release, dipping back into the left leg. This is runner's lunge. Keep your right paw directly underneath the right shoulder. Send the left paw to the sky. Turn your shoulders so they're facing to the left. Notice the hips are facing downward, so we have a rotation of the spine. Healthy, healthy spine. Breathe in. Exhale, left hand to the floor. Let's shift some weight into the left leg for standing splits. Right leg comes up to the sky. The crown of the head is coming towards the left foot. Right leg is coming up towards the sky. All four corner points of the left foot are pressing firmly into the floor. Take a full breath in. Set the right foot down to meet the left. From here, I want you to sit right into chair pose, Utkatasana. So in your chair, there is what I call bar stool chair, right? Like you're at the bar and you're just sitting down, like just bum on the bar. Then there's like, regular adult chair. And then there's like fourth grade chair. Try to come into fourth grade chair. Keep plugging the weight into the heels, lifting the 10 toes, belly to spine. Breathe in, forward fold, hands to the floor. Exhale. Inhale, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale, palms to the mat, chaturanga, step or float. Inhale to upward facing. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathe out. 3 breaths here. I'll kind of try to put that little shindig together if I can remember what we did. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. This is your 3rd round of intake of air. Fill it up. Empty it out. Right leg to the sky, lift, breathe in. Exhale, right foot to right thumb, breathe out. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, pyramid, fold over your right leg. Rebend back into the right leg. Come to crescent lunge. Arms to the sky. It's 1 breath, breathe in. On the exhale, set the hands down to the floor. On the inhale, left stays down, right arm sky, easy twist. Exhale, right hand to the floor, you're back in runner's lunge. Standing splits, left leg to the sky, breathe in. Exhale, left foot to the floor. Chair pose, butt down, arms up, 1 breath. Exhale, forward fold, hands down, hips up. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, chaturanga. Take your upward dog, back bend. Let's move it to downward facing dog, tailbone to the sky. Inhale, left leg to the sky. Left foot forward. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, shift your hips back. You're now in pyramid folding over the left leg. Release into Crescent Warrior. Left foot is forward, right foot is back, arms up to the sky, big breath. Exhale, hands down to the floor. Inhale, left arm to the sky, breathe in. Exhale, left hand down. Standing vertical, right leg to the sky. Exhale, right foot to the floor. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing. Exhale, down dog. Walk your hands to the back edge of your mat. Keep your feet hip width apart. Peace sign fingers to your big toes. Halfway up. Exhale, fold. Place the weight as directly over the ankle center as you can, meaning not weight into the heels, not weight into the toes, elbows out to the side, shoulders lift up towards the hips. Let the stretch occur. Release the fingers from the toes, walk the hands back to the top of your mat. You're back in the beautiful downward facing dog. Okay, we're gonna change it up a little bit. So here we go, yogis. On your next inhale, come to the toes, rise, breathe in. On the exhale, bend the knees, look between the thumbs, float it up. Softly land the feet between the hands, halfway up. Exhale, fold. We're gonna come to staff pose. So as you rise, you're gonna take your right knee off the floor. And you send the arms up to the sky. So it's our first little balancing point. Actually, this is our second one because we did do standing splits. So we call this staff pose. And from staff pose, we're going to take a staff twist. So you go over to the right side. So the left arm is forward, right arm is behind you, still balancing on the left leg. Back to the center, staff pose, breathe in. On the exhale, set the right foot down. Come into birdie pose. You're going to take the hands behind you. So it's a chair pose, but the arms sweep behind you. It's a lot of fun. I think you would agree. Weight is still in the heels. Arms are coming at least above the shoulders. So you get that beautiful stretch. And in one action, we'll take staff pose on the other side. So now left knee lifts up, arms sweep up. Okay, breathe in, twist it to the left side. We'll come back to the center, raise the arms up, breathe in, you're back in staff pose. Release the left foot to the floor, birdie pose. Now we'll go to arcing Tadasana. You're gonna blast open, you stand up, take your arms up, go into the back bend, as far back as you can. Release, forward fold. Hands come to the floor. Inhale, halfway up. Step or hop, chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing. Exhale to downward facing dog. Breathe out. Beautiful work, team. Please take your right leg off the floor. Now we're going to open up the hip. So spin the right hip on top of the left. Try to square the shoulders. Push the floor away. Open it up. Now we're going to come forward. Right knee is going to tap the left tricep. So you're in the plank and you're twisting. You want to drive the hips up so you're really working on the obliques. Release, three-legged dog, right leg back to the sky. Step through for Crescent Warrior. Right foot to the thumb. Send the arms up. And from here, we're going to move to revolving crescent lunge. We'll bring our hands to the center of the chest, pitch forward, and turn to the right side. Anchor the left elbow to the outside of the knee. Options here are to drop a left hand down, right arm up, so opening up the wings. Option is also to make a fist with the right hand, push it into the open palm of the left. Keep opening up. Now take one more deep inhale. Exhale, revolve. And then inhale back to crescent lunge. Take the arms up. Breathe in. On the exhale, we'll come to power lunge. You'll sweep the arms behind you, crown forward. Warrior two. Spin the left heel flat. Take the arms up and around. Shoulders over hips. So if you're leaning forward, try to pull it back. Outer edge of the left foot, knife edge. All right. Rotate externally the legs here. Drishti is over the right thumb. Arms are like oars, they're wings, there's stability here. Take a beautiful breath in. Sink a little deeper into the right knee. And then we'll reverse the warrior. We'll dance the right hand up to the sky. We'll just walk the left hand down the leg. So for me, Drishti might be up or it might be down towards the outer edge of the left foot. Keep digging into the right knee. You're going to take one more breath in. And on the exhale, we'll take the hands to the floor for vinyasa, chaturanga. Spice it up by keeping the right foot lifted, lower in halfway, and we'll take the upward D. And we'll move to downward facing dog. This is why we have two sides of the body. We need to balance it out. So let's take the left leg up. Open your left hip. Stack the hip. You're splitting the inner thighs away from each other, opening it up. Coming forward, draw left knee to right tricep. Spin it. You're turning, you're pushing the floor away, belly to spine. Three-legged dog. Take it up and back with the left leg. Step through. Crescent lunge. Raise the arms. Bring them up. On the exhale, bring the hands to the center chest. Undulate. Press forward and twist. Now you're taking your revolve in the other direction. Push your hands together. Lift the chest up and rotate. You want to try to get the thumbs to the center breastbone. Not by moving the thumbs, by pressing the hands together and rotating the chest. If you had a burrito before this practice, this is about right at the moment it's going to start to back up on you. Stay in your body and stay in your breath. One more deep inhale. On the exhale, revolve. Inhale to crescent lunge. Take the arms up and open up to the second warrior, Vira 2. Heel to arch, sink into the left leg, keep peeling it open, send the arms out over the floor. On your next inhale, reverse your warrior. Dance it up and back. I'm gonna stay here just for a couple of rounds of breath. Take one more beautiful breath in. On the exhale, make your way to high plank. Bring your hands to the floor, step the left foot back, remain in high plank. Make sure your feet are about hip width apart, shoulders over wrists, and we'll take modified side plank. Drop the right knee down, spin the left heel flat, take your left arm up. Modified Baptiste-trained. Left arm maybe goes over the eardrum. Okay, we're going to take our left hand to the top of the left foot. This is going to require us to take the left foot off the mat and you take the top of the foot. And you kick the foot away and you start to rotate open. The more precisely your right hand is underneath the right shoulder, the less wobbling you'll have. If your hand is out in front of the shoulders, you're going to be in the wobble zone. This is not a character issue. It's simply the wobble zone. Release the top of the foot. We're going to come back to high plank, left hand down, step it back. Reassign a nice position for your feet and hands. Left knee down, right arm up. Modified side plank. You start by pressing to the outer edge of the right foot. Send the right arm over your ear. Keep turning the right chest muscle up towards the sky. And now we'll take the back bend. Right foot lifts, right knee bends, right hand to the top of the right foot. Kick it open. Beautiful work. Release the top of the right foot. And we're going to go right back to high plank. Pitch forward on the toes, come into low plank. Inhale to upward facing dog. We'll move to downward facing dog. Walk your hands to the back of the mat. For gorilla, you're going to step on the palms of the hands, toes into the wrist creases to maybe stimulate some synovial fluid into the wrist joints, and drop the head nice and low. Okay, let's remove the hands and we're going to drop into a yogi squat. Coming on down. And there we are, nice and low in the hips. Take the hands to the center chest. Let's close the eyes down, please. Take a deep breath in. Empty out. Deep breath in. And empty out. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Set your hands onto the floor. Lift your hips up towards the sky. Toe heel your feet together so your big toes touch. And you're at the back of the mat, so I'd like you to round up to mountain pose. Let's bring the arms above your head for extended mountain pose. Breathe in. Then bring the hands to the center of your chest. Settle in. Okay, we're going to move into standing stick pose. So I want you to take a steeple grip, cross your thumbs. Bring the arms up to the sky. We're going to start by stepping the right foot roughly halfway up the mat. Right foot steps. And then you balance on the right leg and you lift your left leg up. Okay, balancing stick pose. Bring your eye gaze forward. Keep lifting up through the left leg. From this position, we're going to draw our left knee into the chest. Left knee into the chest, interlace 2 inches below the left knee. Hug it in, hug it in, hug it in. Dancer's pose, we take the right hand up, we take the left foot behind us, and there we are in a first position dancers. And if you would like to go into second position dancers, that's your call. I'm going to stay here for 3, 2, and we're going to stand up. Your feet are together, you're roughly halfway up your mat. Arms are above the head. Breathe in. Bring the hands back to the center of the chest. Breathe out. Steeple grip, maybe consider crossing the opposite thumb. Let's bring the arms above the head. This time it's left foot steps forward. Balancing stick pose. Take your right leg off the floor. Extend the arms out in front of you. Level off the right hip. Very slowly, we draw the right knee forward and into the chest. Interlace 2 inches below the knee, really hug it in. So it's like a wind removing pose, but standing. And then from this standing position, we move into dancers. Extend the left arm up, bring the right foot behind you. Remember, your option, and it's a good one, is to stay in first position dancers. Or if you want to go forward, charge forward, up to you. We'll stay here for 3. We'll stay here for 2. Mountain pose, right foot meets the left. You're at the top of the mat, raise the arms above the head, reach up. Exhale, forward fold, breathe out. Now take a halfway lift, breathe in, and then sit your butt down onto the mat, and then roll onto your back. Squeeze the knees into the chest, hug them in. Beautiful work. Feel free to rock side to side. Okay, you're going to drop your knees to the left side. We're just going to twist open a little bit. Right arm extends out. Let's bring it back into the center. Readjust your bum on the mat so you're centered up. Squeeze the knees in. Drop your knees to the right side. Extend out through the left. All right, yogis, release, coming back up. You're gonna bring the knees into the chest. Then you're gonna rock up to a seated position. From the seated position, I want us to do a butterfly position where you bring the soles of your feet together, soles of the feet together, and then the thumbs come to the insides of the arches. And then use your thumbs, feel free to massage any knots that you might get in the arch. And then take a nice deep breath in. And on the exhale, you're gonna lean forward and you gently press your elbows into the insides of the thighs. Leaning forward, getting some opening here. Letting the breath guide and ride. It is the relaxation response. It's going to allow you to move through the tension. Let's bring some awareness to any areas, especially your jaw. If you're a clincher, relax the jaw. Okay, you're going to slowly just lean back up. Now I'm going to ask you to take your right leg out in front of you, lift it up. And now with your left hand, take the outside of your right foot. Capture the foot. And we're going to twist. So the right arm comes forward and up, and then behind you. Place the right hand behind you, and then twist. Bring awareness to where your right foot is. It will have a tendency to come flying across the center line. Try to keep the right heel bone directly in line with the right hip. Keep twisting open. Your spine is straight up and down. Your belly is pulled in a little bit, and you're rotating. Okay, we're going to come back to the center. You're going to keep your left hand on the foot. You're going to cross your arms. So now your arms are crossed, and then you engage your left leg and your core, and you slowly bring your right foot to the mat. Bring it down, and there you are in Ajahnu Shasana. Elbows to come out to the side. It is fine to pull a little bit to assist, but you do not want to yank yourself into the pose. You want to breathe yourself into the pose. If you pull too hard, the body gets the worry that you're gonna injure it, and then as soon as the body gets that signal, it tightens up. It tightens up right at the moment you're trying to relax it. Okay, we're gonna release. As you come up, you're gonna draw the right foot back in. You're back in that beautiful Baddha Konasana position. Going to take your feet. Now I just want you to neutralize your spine here. So if you need to rock back and forth a little bit, that's fine. Press the knees away, wiggle around. I want that that feeling like you don't have anything stuck. And now from here, you're going to keep your right foot in. You're going to extend your left leg out. And then with the left leg extended out, you take the right hand to the outside of the left foot. So you really are kicking through the left leg. We take the left arm forward, up, and then we twist open to the left. Okay, we're going to release coming out. Whenever we cross our hands, so now your wrists are crossed, you have your foot. Take a nice big breath in, you engage the core in the right leg in order to control the descent. And then you bring your left foot to the floor and you fold over your left leg. And release, coming back up. Extend both feet out. So the left is already out, so just take your right foot out and then just take a moment and bump the legs up and down. Bump it up, bump it up, bump it up, bump, bump. Okay, bring the feet together. We're gonna do a standard forward, two-legged forward fold. So flesh, flesh, arm, arm, we reach it up. You flex the toes towards the face, keep the chin lifted as you go forward. Now you take your fingers to the toes, you grab your feet. Emphasis here is to try to keep the chin lifted and then fold in. Okay, team, release, coming back up. Now I'd like you to make your way totally onto your back with your knees bent. We're setting up for bridge pose. Now, if you're a wheeler, you're a full wheeler, you know what to do, full wheelers, but I'll guide us through a back bend of bridge pose. So the heels, again, are in line with your butt bones. Fingertips reach towards your heels. And when your fingertips hit the heels, just press and charge the feet into the mat and your thighs lift. And your thighs, when they lift, magically the hips lift up. And then you walk your shoulder blades together and you walk your hands together, interlace the palms, the fingers, and draw the palms together. And then just slowly press the hips up. Beautiful chest opener. Don't mash your chin too much into the throat. Keep a little space there. And just keep worming your way into a more relaxed position by engaging the musculature, but breathing deep and free. Take one more nice big breath in. And then let's bring your hips back down. With your feet mat width distance and your knees together, let your knees go side to side. This will help isolate the release in the low back. And whenever you do a windshield wiper after a back bend, be gentle with it, because it might be jarring if you do it too quickly. Beautiful work. Draw the knees into the chest. Give them a nice gentle squeeze. The happy baby. We'll take the feet up. Grab the outsides of the feet. Draw the knees down. Chin is tucked a little bit. By the way, I don't believe this pose is authorized in our VYP clinical setting classes. Just an FYI. And release. I'd like you to make your way up to a comfortable seated position. Whatever campfire style position is good for you, either, lotus, half lotus, Padmasana. It's helpful to have the hips lifted up above the knees for comfort. And I'm just encouraging you to settle into a position where we can stay for 3 or 4 minutes together, and where we start to practice one of our tools, a very powerful tool, gratitude. And for many veterans, people that are suffering out there, you ask them to bring something up that they're feeling grateful for. Many people struggle with it mightily, surprisingly enough. And for those people out there that can't find anything to be grateful for, what I tell them is be grateful for something that doesn't suck. And there's your gratitude. So it's not Pollyannish, but it is a reframing of a situation. And when you marry the gratitude with the mindful movement, and the mindful movement is married to the gratitude and the meditation, these things start to congeal. And we begin to slow down the thoughts by practicing Pratyahara, or withdrawing of the senses, meaning we're not searching for more information. We're in the business in yoga of reduction of information. And that goes back to my original point today, which was you cannot utilize the mind to solve a problem of the mind. You have to get into the body. You have to draw deeper into the awareness. So I invite you to close your eyes down. And then with your inward gaze, draw that inward gaze down towards the tip of your nose. And just notice the tip of the nose, always out there. Could be your lodestar. And now with your mind's eye, the awareness, bring that awareness to the center of your forehead. It's a spot that's near the position between the two eyebrows and up slightly. And keep your mind's awareness on this spot. Keep that in the forefront. And at the same time, have your breathing be normal. A rhythm that you would normally breathe. Less effort, more relaxation. Now I would invite you to draw the hands together, and draw the thumbs to the heart and lift the heart to the thumbs. And we start to draw our awareness to the center of the chest, the breadbasket, the solar plexus, and slightly dip your chin down. And we begin to bow to the practice, grateful for one another. We send intention, we send peace, we send harmony to those who serve, those who continue to serve, and those who are serving.